Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of The Walking Dead's Season 6, Episode 15, East. Now, before I really get into it, I want to quickly say that sorry if you were looking for my predictions or any of the other videos that I was posting over the weekend, because I think from Thursday to Saturday, I kept trying to record, but my audio recording software would not work. It seems to be better now, obviously, because I have a video going up. But yeah, I'm so sorry that I couldn't do that, and I'm not going to be able to do my predictions because of it, obviously, because the episode's already aired. But everything other than my predictions will still be going up. It'll just be going up sometime this week. So I thank you for sticking through that, the issues there with me. And I couldn't have recorded Sunday because I was busy with the holiday and stuff, and I just got back in time, like at night, to watch on DVR the episode last night. So yeah, this is my thoughts, my review of it, and I really thought that it was good in a way. Like, it wasn't one of those things where you can say it's good or bad for simple reasons, because there wasn't much payoff. You didn't get like a full story, like the payoffs to what was going down this episode. This episode was almost all build up to give us the payoffs next episode. So while it in itself, if you just watched it and didn't watch anything else in the series, it wasn't a self-contained or great story, it was necessary. It was build up to give us a great story next week. Other than that, I think it teetered this line between being predictable and being surprising, because a lot of the general stuff, like what generally happened, was very predictable. I think pretty much everybody saw just about everything that happened coming, but a lot of the details, a lot of the like single events were really shocking that I didn't see coming. And again, as I break it down part by part, I'll go over what I mean by that. So honestly, a lot less happened than I expected, because I was expecting the payoffs to some of the storylines to be within this episode, but I almost think that it's better the way they're doing it than the way I expected it, because I think it's better that we set up a million different lines of storyline. We set up a million different ways to go for the finale to bring all that to a conclusion and really give us something great. I think we set ourselves up better than the story that I had expected. And I mean, we have the open ends like Carol's missing. We have no idea where Carol is at this point. Morgan's out looking for her. And we do know we're going to see Morgan next episode because it is in one of the promos that AMC always posts a promo online, a sneak peek, and Morgan is in that, so we do know we're going to see him. And he's on the horse like what was in the A Larger World promo that we got way back in like January or February or something. Probably February. What else? We have, of course, we have Michonne captured, Glenn captured. And then at the end, something that really surprised me, and I think really surprised a ton of people, obviously, was, holy shit, Daryl got shot. I was not expecting that, and honestly, I don't think it means he's dead. The way Dwight said, "You're all right," I think he just got shot in the shoulder or something, and I actually think that gives him less of a chance to die in the finale, because if he's injured, that's kind of a story, him being injured, and him and Dwight's back and forth is a story that I think that killing him, they're not going to end that story yet. I think that it almost makes him more safe from death, because we have other characters that don't have that much of a story going on that need a death to bring that. Also, Maggie is having issues with her pregnancy, and there was something in the opening scenes of this episode that I didn't notice the first time. And the thing that I didn't notice was when she's in the shower with the shower scene with Glenn, she has bruises like on her abdomen around, like that's what Glenn was like when he was feeling around, she had bruises there, and I didn't notice that at all. I didn't really remember her getting, I guess she did she had to have, during the fight with the Saviors, get hit in the stomach at some point, but I didn't really specifically remember it. So I think that was really interesting, and I completely missed it the first time around. Another thing that was kind of easy to miss, but a lot of people did bring it up, so I noticed because of that, was Carl taking the gun from the armory, and it has a barbed wire baseball, like foreshadowing like crazy. It has a barbed wire baseball bat carved into the grip, and like, it's really interesting because we know they probably took a ton of guns from the Savior's armory, so that could be a Savior gun. Maybe I doubt it would be Negan's gun himself, but I think it's really interesting that that was thrown in there. And it wasn't just thrown in there as like something you had to really look to catch. They like specifically focused in on the gun and Carl looking at that etched into it. Another thing I liked about this episode, and I'm liking about what's going on in general, is I like how Daryl seemed, and a lot of people seem to form a bond with Denise, and they're really showing their grief that she's gone. And I love when they do that with characters, not just moping around or crying or like going crazy, but like showing that they felt something and had a relationship with the character. So I absolutely love that Daryl has the Dennis keychain still, and I liked as well Rosita's attitude towards this. I felt like in this episode and last episode, Rosita has gotten more development in those two episodes than she got in the rest of the series combined. I feel like with these last two episodes, we're actually sort of finally, after all this time, we're finally starting to see what Rosita thinks and where she is, like, in her head, where she is in all of this. So I think that this is something that the character desperately needed, because Rosita had been one of our most just, forgettable, boring, undeveloped characters, and now this is really, it's giving her a spot in a really meaningful spot in our group. Not just a spot, because she had that, but a really meaningful spot in the story. One thing that I'm not sure I like is how confident Rick is when he was talking to Michonne at the beginning and when he was talking to Morgan. Like, I get that they're trying to portray Rick as just being so confident now. We own the world. We know how to take over. We know how to take what we want. But to a point that, in a lot of ways, that seems out of character for Rick. So while I think it's good, and there's a direct, clear purpose for it, because we need to build his ego that everything's going to go right before we crush that and bring in a wave of hopelessness so that there's a struggle. This is necessary for building the struggle that we need to build. So in this episode, Daryl leaves to go hunt down Dwight and the Saviors, and Rosita, Glenn, and Michonne follow him, and of course Rosita sides with him and they go off, and then Glenn and Michonne get captured, which I was expecting them to get captured, but I was expecting them to, honestly, I was thinking that they might escape by the end of the episode. So I think it's interesting that they were captured, and that's carrying over into the finale, which is going to carry over into the big scene that, of course, everyone's waiting for. And I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to talk very general whenever I bring it up, because I think a lot of YouTubers I've seen covering this, even though even show-only fans at this point probably know so much about that scene, just because it's not really a big secret anymore, I do want to be, I want to be careful for those that don't. I don't want to ruin anything. So when I say Negan showing up, I'm not going to say like how or anything, or even how it happened in the comics, even though I personally think the show is going to change it up a bit. I do think they're going to keep a lot of it very similar to the comics. Now, Morgan and Rick go after Carol, and I absolutely loved every single thing with Morgan and Rick. Morgan is a character that a lot of people have come to dislike, that even I was like, okay, Morgan, you're getting boring, you're getting stale, but I think this episode did the character very well, and I I love seeing Morgan and Rick together. There's a really interesting dynamic between the two, and I don't know, I just loved them this episode, and I absolutely loved how Morgan's philosophy, we kept hearing, oh, all life is precious, and we kept hearing all this stuff, but we never saw it. We never were given like confirmation of Morgan possibly being right. In this episode, we definitely got the proof that Morgan, there's no wrong, like he said, there's no right or wrong. It's just what you can live with. And in this kind of gray area, we're seeing how Morgan's philosophy is just as valid as everyone else's, because, like he said, if Rick back at the prison hadn't spared Carol's life, then Carol would have never saved them at Terminus. If Morgan hadn't saved the wolf's life and spared his life, then Denise would have died at No Way Out. She wouldn't have been there to save Carl, and Carl would have possibly died as well. Probably died as well. So in a way, sparing people and giving them a second chance, even when they've made that mistake, even when they've proven to potentially be dangerous, that is like, you never know what could be good, what could help you. There's always a chance for people. We all get to come back. And I love that, because that was something that Herschel said a lot, something that Rick said to the governor that I liked, where we all fall down sometimes, but we get to come back. And I think that's a great theme that comes up again and again in the show. So I'm really glad that they wove that in there through Morgan, especially since it was through Morgan, and it really fits so well. Again, something I didn't like was when they were talking and Rick said that he would thank Carol for killing Karen and David now. And that just, I don't know, it's just like, you can see where what Carol did had some right to it and it had some wrong to it, but the way that Rick is being so matter-of-fact about it and being so just kind of arrogant about things and showing his ego, because we're gonna need to have him build an ego to knock it down, even though that's the purpose of it, it does seem like it's a little bit out of character for Rick. Now, something that I kind of breezed over, I didn't really bring up yet, was Carol killing the Saviors. I thought that was super well executed. No pun intended. So it was like really well done. The acting was great, both from Carol and from the Saviors. Like, what was the name? Hero, with a J. Hero and the other random Saviors, they were acted really well, I thought. And I don't know, just the way that we're seeing Carol's inner struggle has been done so well. It's been done very well, and I really applaud what they're doing with it. Even though it did seem a little bit slow here and there, I think it's paying off, and I think especially with the finale, when we get everything this season, everything that's been building since the beginning of the season finally coming together for the finale, it seems like we're going to have almost all of our cast there. It's all of our important cast there. It's going to be huge, and I think that the build-up was well worth it. Also, the one Savior that survived Carol's attack, he went and he followed Rick and Morgan. We saw, and we didn't see him again when Rick turned back. I don't think he followed Rick back to Alexandria, because they already know where Alexandria is. And again, that's something else I didn't bring up. They know where Alexandria is exactly and stuff. And with Dwight and everything we know, they know way more about us than we know about them. That's great. It's such a good way to do things. And it keeps hinting at us that even though everything seems alright, even though Rick's like, we've killed like 40 some of them, all they've killed is Denise, it shows that they are such a bigger threat than we know. And like what Glenn said, the world is way bigger than we know. We are underestimating this. Daryl's going to get himself killed because he's underestimating this. Rick, as a leader, is underestimating this. That's what I'm getting from what Glenn's thinking right now, and I really like that. And it makes me hope that Glenn survives this season finale and goes into next season just because this Glenn, the TV show Glenn, is being a very good character right now, I guess. Very, I don't know. I like the way that they're taking the character, but they may be taking him that way so that he could potentially die in this finale. Two or three last things I'm going to bring up, and two I'm just going to skim over real quick. First, the conversation between Abraham and Rick I thought was great. I thought it was the only real payoff or conclusion we got in the episode. So very good there on that front. And it worries me a bit seeing Rick talking about letting people in and Abraham talking about that Sasha, Abraham, or even Michonne. I think Michonne is nobody guessed that Michonne would die in the finale, so that would be way out there. That would just be the most mind-blowing. Or I think that there's a lot that they could do in the finale, and this week I'll talk about that after I give my score, but it's crazy how they're doing this, and I think that it seems more and more like Abraham could die here, but I don't know if that's the best choice, but it would be pretty out there, it'd be pretty crazy. So I don't know, I feel like we're setting up for 2 deaths in the finale. It seems like we have so much set up that one big death would be incredible, but it almost seems like we could get the one big death and maybe a second not as big death, or even 2 big deaths, which is, I don't know, I get the feeling that we could have 2 deaths in the finale, and I doubt that one's going to be Daryl, bringing me into another thing we're bringing up. I'll just skim over real quick because I talked about it earlier. Maggie has pregnancy troubles, and I did predict that. I predicted Maggie would have pregnancy troubles, and that's why we would be leaving on the RV like we're seeing him do in the promo. I think that they may actually be going to... I don't think they're going to look for the captured crew, but with the people they're taking and what they talk about, they might be. I personally saw it as I predicted it as Maggie was going to have pregnancy problems, and it didn't look like Maggie was on that RV, so her pregnancy problems were going to make them have to go to the hilltop to get Harlan, the doctor, the obstetrician, whatever, and bring him back to Alexandria. Instead of taking Maggie to Hilltop, they were going to go get Harlan and bring him back to Alexandria. So I thought that's why they were going to be on the road. But it's also a potential for that they're going out there to look for Glenn and Michonne and Rosita and Daryl. So I put it off to talk about Maggie's pregnancy issues, but Daryl getting shot, I think that it makes it so that he's likely not dying in the finale. If he does die, I see him and Carol dying together. I think that would be pretty emotional and intense, but I'm not sure about it. But I think that's it. I think I just want to say that this was very good for a lot of the reasons I went over. It was very detailed. It was very good build-up, but as great build-up, it didn't have the conclusions. We need to wait until next week to see that, and because of that, I'll give it 8 of Carol's Mad Max cars out of 10. 8 out of 10 is fair because as build-up, it was amazing, but as a self-contained story, it was not very good because we're going to have to... All of this is just build-up for next week. We didn't have the conclusions for it. So, it was very, very good, but in its own little niche way. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I'll be discussing way more because this week... On Wednesday, I will be doing 2 Walking Dead videos. I'm going to do a quick video that I don't want to throw into any of my other videos to waste time about just how I'm going to say now that I'm not doing a live reaction to the finale, and I'm going to explain my reasoning on why I'm not doing it. And that's just going to be a quick little video that I didn't want to throw into anything else. And I'm going to be doing a part 1 finale predictions discussion, because I feel like there's so much to talk about that it's not, and I mean, it's not just going to be like your typical predictions. It's going to kind of be discussing everything that's going on right now. So I think I want to discuss I want to discuss my predictions for what's going to be going down in the finale, and I'm going to do 15 to 20 minutes of it on Wednesday, and then on Friday or Saturday I'll be doing another big video on predictions for the finale, just because I'm sure that more will come up that we need to discuss in that, even in those short few days. So I think that there's a lot of discussion to be had. Obviously, this episode alone made me go over 20 minutes. So, I think that's all I want to say for this one. Sorry for kind of making this a long and rambly one, but I do thank you so much for watching it, and I really hope you enjoyed it, seriously. Like if you did like it, if you want to. Comment down there, tell me your thoughts on the episode, and your thoughts on my thoughts of it. Please, no TV show spoilers until the episode airs. Once the episode airs, go crazy. But before that, no spoilers, please. I would like to ask you. Subscribe if you want more discussions and content on The Walking Dead, One Piece, Tower of God, and a bunch more. And over the break before Season 7 of The Walking Dead, I'll be doing occasional Walking Dead videos whenever a topic comes up. And I will be covering Fear the Walking Dead because I did like Season 1 and I'm interested. I think Season 2 is going to be a lot better. It looks a lot better personally. I think it's going to be really cool and interesting and unique. Lastly, follow on Twitter if you want updates. I always tweet out when I'm posting a new video or if something happens and I have to push one back. So, super big thanks for watching. I love you guys. I will see you all next time.